Hey there, YouTube. Ghost Jake here with you today. How's your day going? My night's actually going pretty good, or day, depending where you are. Anyway, I just got done watching The Exorcist Season 2, Episode 9 on Hulu. I I missed it at 9 when it was live. I got home kind of late, so my bad on that. But anyway, here we go. In five, four, three, two, one, zero. Now, this episode was actually pretty good, in my opinion. It was actually pretty good, in my opinion. Let's see. As far as this episode was mainly kind of focused on Marcus and Rose trying to get the kids off the island, because for the majority of this episode, actually I'm going to not even say majority, pretty much all of this episode, Father Thomas, he was still stuck in his trance that he got put in by the demon in the previous episode. So Thomas was in his trance for like all of this episode. Now, when we start off, we have Father Thomas and not Father Marcus, Father Marcus trying to wake up. He's trying to wake up Thomas, because Thomas is in that trance and he's not budging at all. So it's like, what are you supposed to do, right? And in the meantime, so he decides to, with him not waking up, he decides to leave. Marcus decides to put to lock Father Thomas in the bathroom or the closet. I'm pretty sure it was the bathroom. But lock him while he went to go look for Andy, Rose, and the children, because obviously the demon is missing, aka Andy. But, and then we also flash forward to, we see, like, also before the credits roll, we see these two guys. I don't know if they're like former priests or whatever they are, or integration demons. But we see these guys in Seattle, and all of a sudden they're looking for like a car or boat keys or something to get to the island to locate Father Thomas and Father Marcus. And all of a sudden we hear this car. We hear this car start, and they're like, "Oh, someone's there." And all of a sudden they open the car door and they just open fire, and no one's in there. And it turns out what happened was Mouse made it to Seattle in the very opening credits of this episode. So that is kind of very interesting to see that she is finally here. So what can we expect from her now that she's made it to Seattle? We will wait and see. And then pretty much after the credits, after she disposes of the guys, we get to the credits. Now, we see there's two things where we open with the credits. We opened with Marcus going to the neighbor's house looking for the children, and we also see Andy. We see Andy. He is getting ready. he has found the kids and he is taking them to that. And he got the kids to go in the truck, and pretty much he pretty much took them where possessed Andy took them. He took them to let's see. He took them to the house, not his house, like where the well is. He took him. He took him to the well, and there's like a little house there, right? So that's very interesting. And Andy's putting on an act of saying, "Oh yeah, the demon's pretty much gone or whatever," but the demon isn't gone, obviously, and pretty much soon the kids start to figure that out because the demon Andy or possessed Andy. I am like, I keep on calling him possessed. I am like 90%, 90 to 95% sure he is fully integrated. The only reason why I said that, leaving that 5% chance, 5 to 10% chance that it's still just actual possession instead of integration, because there is a scene like close to the end of the episode that raised a tiny bit of question, but not, a tiny bit like that, not very much, but it kind of made me, when I was watching it on Hulu, it kind of made me like, oh, maybe he's not fully, there yet. You know what I mean? But anyway, what eventually happens is at the house with the well, the demon takes Rose, and he takes her out to the well, and he starts counting to 10. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then all of a sudden when he gets to 10, the boards break. But some of the boards were breaking, in between his counting. The boards break, and then all of a sudden he falls into the well. Right? Okay, now, and these are, whew. But before she fell in the well, she told Verity that, oh yeah, I read your fire, and you're pretty good at escaping, since you tried to escape from the demon, right? And apparently, the demon didn't frisk Verity for weapons or whatever, because apparently she had like a knife or a piece of glass or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was thought of a knife, and she began cutting the rope. Anyway, now we're going to get to a couple scenes with Father Thomas. Like I said previously, Father Thomas in this episode was pretty much in his trance, pretty much in his trance for the entire. Excuse me, I was fighting back a yawn, but in his trance for the entire episode. But we get to see inside of his head. We know what's going on. We know what he's dealing with. Right? And now what he is dealing with in his head is like the perfect world, pretty much. Because it starts off with him and Marcus in the exorcism. Then and then Thomas is starting to realize, something's not right, because he could... because this was, this part was in the very beginning, but I'm doing the review. It's slightly bit different, so this is why I'm mentioning it right now. But when we get to Thomas, he is the voice he hears is Marcus, and that the real Marcus, and that is part of the reason why he's like, oh, something's not quite right. And then he opens the door, right, and then once he opens the door and leaves, he's like, because he wants to. Then all of a sudden the room changes, right, and it goes to Chicago, right? It goes to Chicago, like the bishop, and where Father Thomas is now a bishop, and the demon. He's like, oh, this isn't right, and so he's just kind of he's not really accepting it, but he's just kind of just like going along with it, and he's like, okay, so he's just kind of just playing along, and then all of a sudden he is giving doing like getting ready to read from the Bible, right, and they all stand up for mass or whatever, and then all of a sudden Father Thomas recognizes someone in the crowd. And who did he recognize from his crowd in the crowd? It was only a guest starring role, but it was the person he recognized in the crowd was actually Casey from season 1. The girl. I haven't watched season 1 in a long time. It's probably been almost a year since I watched season 1. But I am pretty sure that Casey was the one who was originally possessed by this demon. Right here, this demon. Because they made it pretty clear that it was the same demon that possessed Reagan in the original Exorcist. So, for season 1, they made it pretty clear it was the same demon. But they saw, but anyway, back to Casey's little guest starring role, and she starts talking to him. Then that is where Father Thomas is starting to realize, oh, something is really, really not right with this situation at all, right? And then all of a sudden all of a sudden it starts talking to a demon voice, and he's like, no, get out of my head. He's like, and he wants to wake up, and but the demon, before that goes down, the demon does offer him pretty good bribe. I don't know if the demon was trying to integrate him or not, but it pretty much said, it's like, oh, this bishop thing, right? Like, I can pretty much give this to you if you want it. And Father Thomas is like, maybe, it's like, he pretty much said maybe, but then he was like, maybe if this was my old life, but now, he pretty much said, but now I'm an exorcist. And that kind of pissed the demon off really bad. And he tells the demon to, get out of his mind, and he wants to wake up. Right? Now, anyway, we're gonna go back to to Andy and the kids really fast, because the part that made you is make the part I said earlier, that is the part I said earlier in the review about whether if Andy is full on integrated or if it's just or if it's still possession. Even though, like I said earlier in the review, that I'm 95% sure he's integrated, but the part's coming up later. But I'm going to revisit that once the review gets close to done, which is kind of wrapping up with the way how this episode is. It's kind of coming close to with how the episode was this time. Anyway, well, we have Verity. She unties herself, right, and she gets ready to starts running off. But before that, Shelby. Before that, Shelby's getting the demon's attention away from Verity, so she could escape. And all of a sudden, when she cuts the rope and starts running, Shelby, trips up the demon, so Verity could escape. And all of a sudden, Verity is running in the woods. Right? Verity is running in the woods, and we still have Marcus. Marcus is still trying to find them. He's in the woods, searching, trying to figure out where they are. And, we all know where they are at this point. They're at the well. And then all of a sudden, Verity doesn't know where to run anymore, so she tries to deceive the demon by, the way how I took it, like, maybe she was just scared and it was, unintentional. But it looked like she was, like, deliberately leaving footprints so the demon would follow the footprints, right? So the demon would follow the footprints and it would go away. So Andy would go away. But after she left the footprints, she went and hid in this, like, spider web or whatever. And guess what? It was a good thought at first, but the demon Andy, he doesn't really fall for that plan. Right? He doesn't really fall for that plan. He ends up finding Verity, and he tries to suffocate. It's kind of interesting the tactic he used, but he tries to suffocate. Like, he ends up finding Verity, right? But he's like, okay, you're next, for trying to escape, because this whole demon's plan is to, escape, right? I mean, to kill his family, because they implied it was the same demon 50 years ago that went on a killing spree of the family that's now possessing Andy. It's like so many demons in this show. It's like so many demons in this show. How can you tell which one is which? Anyway, then all of a sudden, while Verity's getting suffocated with the spider web, Marcus actually comes in and saves her. It's like, and tells Verity to run, get off the island and run. And in the meantime, Shelby and the other kids are getting off the island. And then all of a sudden, Harper goes to the well to look for Rose. And Rose is not dead. Rose is alive. Because how I said earlier, Rose fell through the well. And how Andy kind of tossed her in there. Apparently that well was full of water and she survived. And so the kids decided to save her. They used the rope that Andy tied them up, and to pull her up, and they pulled her up. Now, meanwhile, here's the part. While the demon is fighting with Marcus, and Marcus punches the demon Andy a couple of times, and the demon is starts to choke Marcus, right? And now here's the part where I said earlier in the review whether if it's full on possession or an integration, right? Or if it's there's just still a small chance that it's integration. I mean, a small chance that it's possession, not integration. Now here's why. Back in Thomas's mind, he's fighting off the demon. Then all of a sudden he starts to exorcise the demon in his mind. Right? He pulls out the exorcist and does a few he starts to exorcise the demon in his mind, because apparently when Andy, the demon Andy, put him in the trance in the previous episode, it left a piece of itself in his mind. Like, the demon transformed from Casey into Nikki, and he exercised it, and and he batted and went against the wall when he used his cross, right? And when he used his cross, and then all of a sudden, and that this might have an effect because it did. Him exercising that piece of the demon in his mind caused the actual demon in the body of Andy to like lose its grip against Marcus from choking. Marcus was able to get out of its grasp and knock Andy out with like a piece of wood. And now here's the part where I said whether or not if Andy is still possessed, if he's still possessed or if he's integrated. And like I said, I think he's 95% integrated. So there's about 5% chance he's still fully possessed, not integrated. Like all of a sudden after Thomas exercised that demon inside of his mind, right? And he sees Andy, the real Andy. And all of a sudden he rushes down towards Andy, and then now Andy, now here's why I'm kind of thinking, because Andy said that he could not fight the demon. He could not fight it for much longer. So Andy's just hanging on by a thread, right? And then all of a sudden we start hearing prayer over over Thomas, like, and then all of a sudden, and now here's a surprise at the end of the episode. We hear prayer, and all of a sudden, Father Thomas, he wakes up. Right, he wakes up from his trance finally at the very end of the episode. So help you not. And the person who woke him up was Mouse. And Mouse pretty much said, "I traveled a long way looking for you." And then she introduced herself. And that is where the episode ended. I thought this episode was a really solid episode. And I'm going to kind of be sad that next week looks like it's going to be the season finale. So I'm probably going to say this again in next week's video also, but I'm hoping it gets picked up for season 3. Now, anyway, this is Ghost Jake signing off. I hope you and everyone had a good day. See you later.